I would love to go to Miami. I know Halfley and Slowick, the offensive coordinator. I know them very well. They were with me at the Niners. I remember when he was the DB coach, and man, I had nothing but respect for him because he had his DBs playing good.
Raheem Mostert on with Colin Cowherd talking about his next team. Raheem Mostert has been around, played for several different teams. He has 3 years with the Miami Dolphins and would like to stay there, return there. Is he even there? Where is he right now? Is he still
Raiders.
There? He got cut, didn't he?
Well, if you look at that
graphic, that's all.
Yeah. But
I'm sorry.
The graphic with the Raiders thing on the bottom of the scrand kind of shows you. See that Raiders emblem with the patch on the eye.
He spent 2025 with the Raiders, 3 years with the Miami Dolphins. Before that, the 49ers. Man, he's been around a long time.
Yes, he has.
He started with the Dolphins in 2015, then went to the Ravens, Browns, Bears, long time with the 49ers, 3 years with the Dolphins. He had 1,000 yards rushing.
There's even some other teams in there, too.
Pro Bowl appearance.
Where he didn't make the team and get on rosters. I'll never forget the first time I saw Raheem Mostert. I believe he was in training camp preseason with the Indianapolis Colts, if I remember right. And I can remember going, oh my gosh, who is this guy returning kicks? He can fly. And looking it up and going, oh man, that's Raheem. Oh, I remember him at Purdue, blah, blah, blah. And I remember talking to some friends I had in the NFL going like, how is this guy not on a team? I mean, he's got 3 rockets up his ass. Like, what's going on here? And, some people were like, yeah, I know, we've always liked him. We just, haven't got our hands on him. And then he finally got in the right spots to kind of show what he's got. And, of course, exploded with Shanahan and the 49ers.
Are you sure it wasn't the Jets?
Maybe it was the Jets. Maybe you're right. Maybe it was.
Yeah.
I could be wrong. You're right.
It was either the Eagles or the Jets.
Yeah, I think it was the Jets then.
Off-season training camp with the Eagles in 2015 as a rookie before he landed with the Dolphins. And he was with 3 different teams as a rookie. And then he was with the Jets 2016 training camp before he ended up with the Bears for a year and then landed with the 49ers where he spent his longest time. But he's in the news not because he's due to become a free agent. He had 102 rushing yards last year in 12 games. So he's 33. Sometimes it's just over, and I don't know that the Dolphins are going to be falling all over themselves to re-sign Raheem Mostert. But he said something about now former Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel. Have a listen to Mostert's assessment.
When you're talking about with guys like, Mike Tomlin, Vrabel, some of these, even look at Belichick. It was no nonsense BS. We get in here, we're getting the job done, and it's my way or the highway. When you're dealing with a coach that's so nonchalant, laid back, wants to be, the catalyst behind being a player's coach, it kind of shifts that organization and the pivot, within that system. So. Yeah. Which it can work for other smaller league teams possibly, but when you're dealing with something like that, is as a player you're like, no, I need somebody tough that's gonna lay the hammer down when it needs to be down and tell other players to get in line, and when you don't got that impact can definitely be detrimental.
Now, look, some would say that he's got sour grapes because he wasn't brought back and yada, yada. But we've talked about this before. The pendulum swing. We had Brian Flores in Miami. Not a player's coach.
Yeah.
To say the least. And so once he goes, we go all the way to the other extreme with the most nonchalant, most chill, most player-friendly coach in the league. One of the most nonchalant, chill guys we've ever seen. A guy that does not exude hard ass. A guy that does not exude toughness in the cold. I'm sorry, but we know it. We know it. We've seen it. I mean, we lived it for the years that he was the Dolphins head coach. So I don't think that Mostert's wrong. And remember last year when the report cards came out and Mike McDaniel got an A+, we said that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
You don't want to get an A+.
Yeah.
A+, no. A+ means you're too easy on the students.
Probably. Yeah, I would agree. We talk about all the time. I always use the phrase the magic touch. The magic touch. That's what great coaches have. And I don't think anybody that's paid attention to football is shocked to hear what Raheem Mostert said there. Yeah, this is offensive genius guy that was quirky, that answered questions too long to the point to where you're like, wait, is this deliberate and he's filibustering so he doesn't have to answer any other questions? Or is his brain just really scattered all over the place and it just goes from one wormhole to another? But regardless, yeah, the toughness part or the ability to make the team tougher and tough in certain situations was something I think we all looked at with the Miami Dolphins. And that's been a problem there other than the Brian Flores years. We've seen that. And it also, of course, is sometimes because of who the ex-GM got, where he got guys where I go, I don't know if they really are that tough and wanted to be there and play football. They just wanted to be in Miami and get a big paycheck. That's why they came down. So, it was a double whammy, and we have a coach like that. But when you have a coach like that, you got to have really awesome leaders and a strong, assistant coaches behind it to make up for that thing the coach is missing. But as you know, as I know, the really good coaches have the magic touch. Shanahan, McVay, Andy Reid, Vrabel, Belichick in his prime can be a jerk, hold everybody accountable in the meeting room. What are you doing? I don't care who you are, but yet go out on the practice field and have a connection with the guy a little bit and see him during stretch and care about the human. That's what the really good ones have. And I think, the tough part there was, McDaniel probably not tough enough on the players in certain situations.
Well, and when you talk about the magic touch, that is, I think, another term for emotional intelligence. And remember when the Eagles fired Chip Kelly, emotional intelligence, that was the first time that I can recall an owner saying that phrase out loud as it relates to the coach they're looking for. And look, as much as we like Mike McDaniel, and he is highly intelligent in the traditional sense, he went to Yale for crying out loud, but the emotional intelligence may not have been there. Think about this reality. That whole manner during the press conferences, those long answers, meandering, it was almost like he was performing for the media, and he gets so caught up in words and meaning of words and parsing things through, and this sounds interesting, and he just thinks out loud, and he doesn't have the awareness to realize that those of us who have to deal with them are going to be sitting there saying, dude, we only had 10 minutes with you, and we asked you 2 frickin' questions.
Yeah.
Come on, let us do our jobs. Let us try to get to some of the things we want to ask about. Now, is it deliberate filibustering? I think Sean Payton does that. I think Sean Payton deliberately and consciously gives long answers so he has to answer fewer questions. I think D. Smith used to do that when he was head of the union. I think with Mike McDaniel, I really do think he gets fascinated by whatever and he wants to entertain us, and he misses the plot of your job is different from that. So does it surprise me that he misses the plot as relates to what he needs to do to inspire his players to go out and play hard on a cold day? No, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, you're right. It doesn't surprise me either. Now, this is where hopefully he can go to a place here that can kind of rehabilitate his reputation. Maybe he can watch a Jim Harbaugh and see how he acts and his toughness and how he kind of has that magic touch as well. And maybe he can learn and grow from that experience. We know, like we said, he's an offensive genius, like you said. I mean, there's 3 years there where his offense took the league by storm. Everybody was looking at what he was doing and how do we steal what he's doing. And doing that with a quarterback that was extremely limited. A backup quarterback. That's what he did it with. Top offense in football. That's how awesome he is on that side of the ball. So I root for him. You know that. I've known him for a little while. He's quirky. He's strange. He's different. But damn, he can coach some offense.
I say this tongue partially in cheek.
Yeah.
But if he wants to be ready for his second act as a head coach, he needs to make a heel turn. He needs to change his appearance. He needs to put on about 30 pounds. He needs to hit the gym. He needs to be built more like the guy that we see the old headshots of when he had just finished playing college football. He needs to just create a different persona. Because the next time he walks into a locker room as a head coach of the team, he needs to be able to kick ass and take names. Now, the problem is, and we always praised him for being his authentic self, Well, your authentic self had better change or it's not going to work the next time around, because your authentic self doesn't have the skills to be a sustainable long-term head coach. Something's got to change. You got to become a badass. You got to say the tough things when the tough things need to be said, because this is ultimately professional football, and sometimes guys got to have a foot in their ass, and you got to be the guy to put it there.
Yes,
right?
agreed with that.
Am I
Agreed.
right?
You're right, 100%. I mean, really, foot in the ass should be a requisite, like mandatory thing for football, as we've talked about a lot towards the end of the year. Right? Winning and being successful isn't comfortable and cozy and, oh, we're having fun and the locker room's great. This is awesome. No, winning's tough. And it's answering challenges daily and being held to a standard that is uncomfortable on a daily basis. And that's what, the great coaches know and can do that to their football teams.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.